Hey there guys, how are you today, and welcome to my review of the 2017 British Grand Prix. It just finished 20 minutes ago, so now let's get into this review. So, this Grand Prix was won by home favourite Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. He got the Grand Slam, meaning he got pole position, the race win, fastest lap, and he led every single lap of this Grand Prix. Pretty impressive stuff. Second place was Valtteri Bottas after a difficult weekend, but he came back into second place. Third place was an unlucky Kimi Raikkonen. Fourth place was Max Verstappen. Some luck finally comes to him. Fifth place, Daniil Ricciardo. Brilliant drive for him today. Sixth place, Nico Hulkenberg in the Renault. Seventh place, title contender Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari. Eighth and ninth for the two Force Indians of Ocon and Perez, while Felipe Massa got a point for Williams in 10th. Vandoorne did okay to come 11th in the McLaren. Magnussen and Grosjean struggled and had some fun in 12th and 13th. Ericsson did quite well in the Sauber to come 14th. Kvyat had a tough race and came 15th. Lance Stroll 16th and Pascal Wehrlein 17th. Alonso, Sainz and Palmer retired from this race. So let's go through the race, talk about each driver individually, so you get an idea of the race. So, Hamilton was pretty dominant this weekend. Okay, he wasn't particularly dominant in practice, but he generally said that the fans made him go faster. Obviously, they couldn't physically do that, but something must have happened there. And he dominated qualifying a mad lap of 1 minute 26.6, crazy lap time, and he got pole by over half a second from Kimi Raikkonen. Pretty impressive stuff. And yeah, in the race, he dominated. We didn't really see much from him, to be honest. He was way ahead of all the trouble. He seemed to manage his pace a little bit at the start of the race. He didn't pull a big lead over the Ferraris, but by the end of the race, he was 14 seconds ahead of people behind him. Second place in this Grand Prix, making it 1-2 for Mercedes, was Valtteri Bottas. Now, he had a gearbox penalty, and this is the same issue that Hamilton had in Austria. If you remember, Hamilton had a gearbox penalty in Austria, meaning he started a bit lower down the grid, and this time Bottas had the same thing, and he had to start in P9 because Bottas only qualified in qualifying in P4 and put the 5 places in P9. But he had a fantastic race. He overtook so many of the guys ahead, including Verstappen and Vettel. Some good battling with Vettel today, actually. And yeah, he came second, and that's a real career-defining thing, as they were saying in the commentary. Really impressed to show that he can overtake. And the Mercedes normally struggles when it comes to overtaking, struggles in traffic. But Bottas uses really good pace and a good strategy to get himself through and out to P2, albeit 14 seconds behind his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Third place was Kimi Raikkonen, and I think I should talk about the two Ferraris in one go. So Kimi Raikkonen was third and Sebastian Vettel was 7th. So essentially Raikkonen seemed a bit faster than Vettel throughout this weekend. Raikkonen was ahead of Vettel in qualifying. Raikkonen was P2, Vettel was P3, and Verstappen in the Red Bull overtook Vettel at the start in lap 1, and that obviously took time for Vettel to get past Verstappen. It took until the pit stop, so I don't know, around lap 20 or something. And that essentially led to Kimi Raikkonen having a gap over Sebastian Vettel. And then Vettel was about 4 seconds behind Raikkonen, but then Bottas overtook Vettel. So that put down any suggestions that they could swap around to help Vettel's championship fight. But then, with a few laps to go, Kimi Raikkonen had a puncture. I think there's only 2 laps to go. Had a puncture, which meant Bottas was able to overtake him. And then, obviously, Vettel overtook Raikkonen while he was in the pit. But then Vettel had a puncture as well. And disappointing stuff for the Ferrari boys this weekend, that is for sure. And Vettel ended up in 7th, really harming him in the championship, with now he is only 1 point ahead of Lewis Hamilton, while before this race this was 20 points. So there's been a 19-point swing towards Lewis Hamilton. Pretty crazy stuff. And yeah, poor weekend for Sebastian Vettel. In general, it was a poor weekend. I thought he was a little bit too aggressive against Max Verstappen and Bottas, maybe pushing him off the track. But Verstappen did the same thing to Vettel, so you can't really complain. You can't ask for any penalties or anything like that. And as for the punctures, it leads to the question, were Pirelli right to not have the hardest tyres here at Silverstone? Because that was the plan originally, I believe. But they decided, once they saw that the tyres this year are fairly hard, they decided not to bring the hardest tyres to this Grand Prix. And, well, assuming they don't want punctures, this looks like it was a mistake. And it's Ferrari who regret this, while Mercedes will be very pleased about this and hope it doesn't change again. So yeah, moving on, Max Verstappen in P4, as I said, he managed to finish the race. He also pitted on lap 50, just as after Raikkonen had his puncture, to make sure he was covered off, because I believe he pitted just after Vettel did as well, so it could have easily have happened to Max Verstappen, a puncture. But had he been able to stay out, he may have got into P3. But I guess it was good to play it safe. And he still got some good points. He beat his teammates and he beat Vettel as well. But also Verstappen did some really top class defending against Sebastian Vettel, who's obviously in a faster car before the first round of pit stops. I thought that was pretty impressive stuff. And ultimately he's probably quite pleased to get to the end of the race, considering the bad run of luck he's had in recent times. 5th place was Daniil Ricciardo. So yes, he has ended his run of constant podium finishes, sadly. But you must look at this in context. He started at the back of the grid. He had a turbo failure, I believe, in Q1 in qualifying yesterday. And as a result, he started at the back of the grid, but he fought back through all the way to P5. He overtook Hulkenberg towards the end of the race, and obviously he overtook Vettel when Vettel pitted as well. So yeah, pretty impressive stuff by Ricciardo and the Red Bull team today. I'm pretty impressed with them, but it would be nice if they had more power to be able to compete with Mercedes and Ferrari on a more regular basis. P6, possibly one of my drivers of the day, Nico Hulkenberg in the Renault. Yes, he did start in P5, but yeah, it's a pretty impressive drive by him. And he sort of was able, he didn't really keep up with the guys ahead, but you wouldn't expect him to. But he finished around half a minute ahead of the Force Indians, who happens to be one of Renault's biggest rivals. And yes, so a very impressive drive for him, really increasing, his reputation, hoping for more things to come from Renault in the next few weeks and races. And who knows, maybe soon they'll be able to challenge for a podium. Tell me, do you think Renault, especially Hulkenberg, may be able to somehow sneak a podium in this season? That's a good question for the comments, tell me. So yeah, I've talked about Vettel in P7, don't need to talk about him again. And Ocon and Perez in the Force Indians were P8 and 9. Both cars got lapped, but so be it. But ultimately they got points and got more points than Williams, who has to be one of the biggest rivals currently. And Ocon did well to beat Perez. I generally think Ocon maybe is a better driver than Sergio Perez. I think Ocon is a future world champion in the sport, if he's lucky, in terms of getting good seats. And yeah, well, they kept out of each other's way, although they were quite close on track throughout the race. But they didn't have the pace that they've had on one or two occasions in previous races, sadly. It would have been nice to have seen them maybe closer to the podium at was also one of their home races. But sadly, that wasn't meant to be this time. But I think as a team they'll be pretty happy with P8 and 9. And then Massa was in P10 in the Williams. He started 14th, so a strong race by Massa overall. Again, Williams seeing this season to be struggling in qualifying quite a bit, but they'll be happy to get 1 point with Felipe Massa at the home race. But it's 40 years of Williams, as I've probably said before on the channel, and they would have been hoping for a better result in this Grand Prix. P11 was Stoffel Vandoorne in the McLaren. He started in P8, so he actually got into Q3, which I thought was very impressive. And he didn't manage to keep his points, sadly, because obviously they were faster guys behind him, such as Bottas and Ricciardo, and also probably the Williams as well. But P11 is pretty good for Vandoorne, and ultimately this McLaren at least finished the Grand Prix, and that's ultimately the aim at the moment. Hopefully soon their aims will be much higher. Then in P12 and 13 you had Magnussen and Grosjean. Lots of incidents around both those drivers, particularly Grosjean. There was an incident between Grosjean and Hamilton in Q3 when Grosjean thought he was blocked by Hamilton. The stewards didn't do anything about it, so it must have been okay. I didn't see it myself. And I think Grosjean's getting a bit of reputation for complaining a lot And I've seen it even on Twitter amongst anti-Hamilton people saying Grosjean complained a little bit too much. And I think that's very true, to be honest. Throughout his career, he has complained quite a bit when himself he's not a perfect driver yet. And I hope he can somehow improve over the rest of the season and also keep his seat by improving. And yeah, there's something about Grosjean I don't like a bit of his personality, to be honest. I've never really liked him, to be honest. In 2012 he was crashing a lot, caused some big crashes and tended to blame other drivers. I don't like it when a driver can't take responsibility. Then P14 was Marcus Ericsson and Sauber. Gets a strong day for him, relatively for Sauber. Okay, no points, but Ericsson did beat his teammate Pascal Wehrlein, which is probably his only aim. He would have liked to have got points, but okay, that wasn't going to be possible today. P15, Daniil Kvyat, another bit of controversy. He had a collision with his teammate, caused his teammate to spin, I believe on lap 1, which caused a safety car. You don't want to be doing that in the Red Bull or Toro Rosso team, causing the teammate to crash. You don't want to be doing that anywhere. And yeah, I don't see much of a future for him in F1. P16 was Lance Stroll. I'm not too sure. I think he was running a little bit higher towards the points. I don't know. Did he pit at the end of the race? Anyone see? I didn't see that. But he only finished at P16 apparently. And not the best weekend for him in comparison to some weekends he's had previously. But he'll be still fairly happy to finish the race. And he is getting some consistency now. I think the issues he had at the start of the season are no longer there, which you'll be pleased about. Then P17 was Pascal Wehrlein, the final person finishing the race. As for the people who retired, you have Fernando Alonso, who did well in qualifying, because in Q1, because they went from wet to dry conditions, he actually finished first in Q1. Of course it makes a difference, and in the end he started last because his 30th place penalty for engine changes and stuff. It was nice to see him, McLaren and Alonso at the top of the timesheets, even if it was in a session that didn't really count. And then you had Carlos Sainz, who, as I said, crashed with his teammate on lap 1. And then you had Julian Palmer retiring on the formation lap, hydraulics leak. Does luck ever come to him? He had a good qualifying session in P11. But yeah, the luck's not coming to him. I don't know why. And I'm feeling pretty bad for him. And maybe it's because at the F1 live thing I saw his car, although I don't think it was the actual 2017 car, and the Renault guys were letting people hold the wheel. So yeah, I hope it's not because of that. But bad luck for Julian Palmer this weekend at his home race, and you'll be hoping for better luck in the future. So yeah, tell me guys, how do you think this race compares to other races in 2017? I thought it was a decent race throughout, and then of course the punctures at the end made it a lot more exciting. And wow, yeah. And also, how do you think Renault can do it the rest of the season? Do you think they can maybe challenge for the odd podium? They seem to have some more pace now, so yeah, tell me in the comments, and I'll see you guys soon for my preview of the 2017 Hungarian Grand Prix. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you really enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this and other types of videos, please subscribe to my channel. If you have anything to say in the comments, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. Also, go and check out the video that should be on screen right now, and come and follow me on Twitter, BigGaming342, and Facebook, BigGaming342, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Goodbye.